So I'm just going to come back to one last question, I think, on this now, Cecilia, just to finish this all off, if that's all right. And I suppose one of the things I'm really interested in is, lastly, to look at that initial prop tech innovation, digital transformation, ESG strategy. How are they developed at Urban Edge? How are they evolved at Urban Edge? And ultimately, who is responsible? Is it people like yourself in terms of that SVP layer? Does it come from the very top CEO level? Is it driven everywhere? How is it developed, and who takes responsibility for it all?
I mean, there are two very different journeys, and so I'm gonna, since we were just talking on the ESG, right? We have an ESG committee, and it's comprised of many different people in the organization. Ours is spearheaded by one of our VP of asset management, but it's in collaboration with the likes of our general counsel, our HR, our property managers, our acquisitions team, our CFO, myself from a technology standpoint and governance, as well as on the social, on the vendor risk management, right? What else do we have? Our development team, right? So it is comprised of a whole committee. The team itself, those are the ones that are making the decisions. But in terms of actual working on the projects that arises from those decisions, it's pretty much the entire organization.
So a true holistic perspective. And very early on in this, you talked about there's an element of outsourcing of the tech operations as well. Is that in terms of the development of, or is that, do you have consultants that come in and help you on certain areas? Can you just explain how that outsourcing supports and helps the strategy development as well?
Yeah, for our ESG, we have a consultant that kind of guides us through the ESG journey. It is a very new topic for many organizations, and we feel that we want to leverage the expertise of a company that lives and breathes ESG, right?
Yeah.
On the technology side, we don't rely on the technology side so much on the tell us how to do this journey, but it's more about leveraging that knowledge for different aspects within our organization. So like, for instance, our development team is completely outsourced, right? For us, in fact, it was a big change for me because I came from organizations where we had an entire team in-house, right? Yeah. And that was actually my first challenge in my journey, digital journey transformation, because I'm like, what do you mean? I can't do this without a team. Of I need an army to do this. You're giving me a fork to lift this mountain. But what I've learned is, I grab the bull by the horns and I'm like, you know what, we're going to be able to do this. And what I learned is that, and I mentioned that earlier, you ought to find partners that truly get you as an organization and get you as a leader, right? And that we need to be speaking the same language. They need to understand what your goals are. I can't tell you how many times a vendor will come to you and say, let me tell you what you need. Yeah. And so our entire development team, it's outsourced, and also our infrastructure team is outsourced as well as our cybersecurity. But those teams that I've outsourced, think of them as outsourced, but they're very much part of our organization, and they're very much part of the process. And between them, they collaborate as well.
Yeah, of course, and that makes sense. And I think there's a growing sort of positivity about that sort of arrangement as well. So that does make a lot of sense to outsource, especially on that ESG side. As you say, it is relatively well known. I expect it to be considerably better known in coming years as we start to see things like executive pay pinned to ESG initiatives and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's very wise to outsource all that sort of stuff. So thank you for the input on that question. I appreciate that.